CLG. Fiora that was banned away last time by P1 in the second part of the ban phase. CLG hovering that right now. Don't know if you're going to pick it that early. Instead, just going with that Jhin again.
Yeah, it's the Fiora to be like, I dare you to pick Shen. We left it up.
Go for it.
If you do it in the first round, they'll be able to pick it there. If you don't, they'll pick it in the second.
OmarGod back on Old Faithful, though. Getting the Gragas in there. Wait, P1, this isn't the right hover. You don't have a Lorem in there anymore.
Ha! It is giving him back. Oh, MikeYeung hovered it last time. A little awkward, but still. OmarGod's face there is like, Gragas? Is that for me?
It's like, oh, okay, sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get it in there.
Get a tank in the jungle. We'll see if it goes to him again.
Okay.
Nidalee.
MikeYeung Nidalee.
He was pulling so many bans before and after and during Rift Rivals on this champion, and it's the Nidalee Renekton combo. They're trying to crush top lane here.
You've got to be prepared for that if you're CLG, and especially if you're Darshan. OmarGod, too, might be the cavalry that's called in to provide the backup for him. Huhi. Or, wait a second now. Okay, never mind.
All
that
right.
is not a Gragas in the jungle. That's going to be Gragas top.
Yeah.
With OmarGod on Elise.
Yeah, it was the potential to have that Gragas be in the top lane or the jungle. Like I said, it's not flexed around a lot, but think back to the beginning of the split. Darshan, who had been slumping in spring, came back in and he was playing Gragas pretty much every game, and it was like, this looks so good for him, where he's engaging, he's pushing people off of turrets, he's 2v1ing, he's getting dove, and he's coming out on top. Like, it was a very good champion for him, and he was roaming and taking CS deficits, but still coming out on top. But they've picked an aggressive jungler to match the 2-on-2, because if you pick a tank jungler here against Nidalee, you are donezo.
Yeah, that is not going to work out very well. I mean, they shut it down last game with Lucian not being able to get off the ground early on, but Nidalee is definitely a monster in the jungle in her own right. The Kassadin ban from Counter Logic Gaming was kind of implying they would have liked to pick the Taliyah, so it's banned away by Phoenix1, as Cassiopeia also banned out a lot of mid lane targeting from both of these teams, considering they both have yet to pick those mid laners. The pool is shrinking.
Corki, Orianna, LeBlanc, Syndra. There is so much still up that I consider
it's a big
top
pool
here, and they're not going to ban another here. So, yeah, it's a big pool. Mid laners get mid laner life, man.
Yeah, you can take half the pool out, and you've still got a really, really big amount of choices.
And everybody still hates all those champions and playing against them.
Everybody's still going to complain whichever one they go up against.
And one we didn't mention.
Yep, we forgot all about him, but Lucian locked in for CLG.
And Hui's just played so many different champions. I'm honestly constantly impressed by this guy and his champion pool, because people would say, oh, he's the Aurelion Sol one trick, but when I asked Dardoch back when he was on the team, when I asked people like Tuesday, who's on the sub squad on the CLG Academy, what it is about like the Counter Logic Gaming main squad that's taken them by surprise when they joined, and it's just how good Huhi actually is as a player, because when you watch him, there were kind of memes about it where he just split pushes, but now he knows how to give away resources, gain resources for his team, and have that selfish mentality sometimes when he needs to carry. And when he's on the Lucian, I don't expect him to kind of push lane and then try to roam. I expect him to try crush lane here and take over the jungle.
And it's still fun to see him have Aurelion Sol banned against him every single game, too. Because although he has evolved from that one-trick lifestyle where it's like, oh, does he get Aurelion Sol? Okay, don't worry about it if he doesn't. He's still so ridiculously good on that champion that you have to ban it. Because if he gets that in a good situation, he doesn't need the rest of the pool that he now has at his command.
Exactly. And they didn't even ban it in the last game, but they're just saying, okay, make sure he just can't pick it early on if they want to close a game out. And that's going to be the Janna there for Aphromoo. And something that I've kind of loved about Aphromoo as a player is you go back to MSI 2016 when Counter Logic Gaming went and he had picked up the Soraka and the range supports from playing against Adrian and really was like, hey, this might be the meta. Even though everybody else was playing melee supports there, he stuck with it and said, no, this is good. And then everybody had to adapt to him. And that's how CLG like kind of made the finals.
He set the pace.
Was setting that pace and being ahead of the curve. And this Janna has been popping up. Xpecial was one of the first people to bring it out. Adrian also. So there was some type of scrim bracket that came out, or scrim schedule, where this was being played a decent amount. And they've jumped on this train and always tried to diversify. Aphromoo usually will jump to what is considered quite good and has that diverse champion pool as well.
And the conversation about Janna naturally leads me towards a conversation about support items right now, because Janna is an awesome user of two of the best, like best in-class support items in the Ardent Sensor and the Coin line.
Yeah.
Janna loves to build both of those, and getting them just allows her to have so much power and so much gold efficiency.
I didn't mention it last game because I forgot about it. I saw it level 1. Braum, back then, Aphromoo Braum in game 1, had Ancient Coin. He didn't have Relic Shield. He was getting the passive mana regen, the gold. He's just saying, this is so good, I don't need the stats. Let's just go for the Ancient Coin. And like you said, we may see that here again, depending on what Xpecial brings, but I'm pretty sure the Relic Shield is something that is still favored by those tanky supports.
We'll have to see how it works out. The crowd cheering for Phoenix1 to come back here in game number 2. They'd like to see this one go to a third one. But Phoenix1 will definitely have to step their game up from their performance in the first round of this best of 3 if they want to compete with CLG. Taking a quick look at what you mentioned just moments ago, Relic Shield is purchased by Xpecial. Aphromoo obviously going for the coin. So efficient, so gold effective. I actually want to make sure that we remember to check the gold comparison for gold earned through those support items for these two, around 10 minutes, 20 minutes, things like that, because it usually is a lot higher. 1 versus 1, auto attack for auto attack.
Yeah, it's like Fervor is a little bit better than Warlords in these early trades, so Huhi gets the better of it. He also has Ignite. Huhi is just, that's not a Lucian that's trying to sit around. And look at this, another early invade here at level 1. This is to get the wards, possibly hit the traps.
Nope.
That they're not going to walk over it because, yeah, they're invisible, so like you don't see them, but you kind of know the setup. And this could be a potential super leash, right? This is one of the first teams to do the super leash where the Nidalee does the Raptors by herself with all the camps, with all the little traps. Then Braum comes up with Kalista. You start on that red buff, and now Zig has to guard his top side. And the big thing here is you had Braum, and they didn't invade. P1 did not go for an invade with double range plus Braum. And you have to kind of ask why.
Well, I mean, triple range.
That's true with the Nidalee. And it feels like they just aren't trying to push their game. And now CLG, without their jungler, they're going to have their bottom side invade here. And they're saying, no super leash for you. They're going to try to steal these. Look at that.
All it needs a couple of them. They do manage to steal one of the little chickens away.
If he hits the Q.
Oh, Aphromoo has to flash on this one. They're going to be following him anyway. Aphromoo stunned up, brought down first blood, P1.
You get some Raptors, but you get collapsed on. And this is what I said last game, is the way that you counter it is having 3 people there. And they had 4. They brought everybody because it's the bottom side of the map, not the top side because P1's blue. That was how you do it. P1 say, we're learning. It only takes 1 game. Fool us once, shame on us. Fool us twice, that's not happening.
CLG has been creative with their level 1 strategies, but Phoenix1 with the good read, the good stop to those shenanigans this time. Now Huhi jumps forward onto Ryu. Ignite already used. Ryu gets himself back. Huhi eats a turret shot, but...
Yeah, does it matter? I don't know.
I don't know. That was very aggressive.
Because Ryu blew his flash here to help out. They're getting some attack damage down. MikeYeung is barely picking anything up, but then it's the collapse here. Xpecial landing the Q. Aphromoo just overstayed in that, and he was kind of the least involved person, but he got tagged by the kind of wraparound from Xpecial because they had vision of the red buff and who was starting it and who was holding it, but then he came around the side and got Aphromoo there without having to burn his own flashes. Arrow and Ryu burning their flashes for the flash exhaust.
Omar stole Mike's blue. Mike's going to steal Omar's blue. The law of the jungle. Xpecial moves up just to make sure that nothing bad happens to Mike on his way out, which it won't.
And this is one of the hardest situations to navigate as a jungler. Hold on, Aphromoo has no flash. Arrow's level 3. They're going to try to go in, try to get Stixxay.
Stixxay walking way too far up there.
4v3.
Himself away, though. CLG coming in for the collapse. Trying to take down MikeYeung, but he's able to heal up. Huhi's in trouble. Arrow grabbing the kill.
And
OmarGod no now might drop as well. The 3 versus MikeYeung staying alive.
All right, I said it's one of the worst places to be as a jungler where you're behind in tempo and you have to kind of fight for camps. It is one of the best places to be. You're 1-0-2 and you killed the mid and the jungle. You're going to be able to own any part of the map here when you come back on it as this Nidalee.
And your AD carry is 2-0-1 with Kalista, a powerful meta champion. Phoenix1 is back with a vengeance here in Game 2.
And the flashes are down in every lane except for top. This Nidalee can go wherever she wants, and I kind of trusted MikeYeung's proficiency with this champion to be able to capitalize off of any slow that comes through. Any slow that comes through.
Xpecial not getting that winner's bite.
Nope. Right here, Aphromoo still level 1, and then Arrow hops over after the second attack there, and then Stixxay has to flash away. MikeYeung. Watch this here, because they try to get on MikeYeung, but then he goes over, he gets healed from Arrow as Huhi commits, and then they are able to stun Huhi, kill him, and then reset onto OmarGod, who went over. And Stixxay doesn't have anything to flash with, no way to get over, and then it's not enough damage there from OmarGod as the heals were coming through from the Nidalee as well.
So much work being done by Phoenix1, and especially by that Winter's Bite and just those... What is that ability? I always forget.
Concussive blows?
Concussive blows, that's what it is. I always get that flip-flop.
Some people call it just Winter's Bite right off the bat.
Winter's Bite, the concussive blows, right. But that has done so much for this team early on, getting them all 3 of these kills against CLG. Phoenix1 has got to keep that momentum going, though, and MikeYeung and Omar may run into each other
as they both
head towards the top side.
And they have...
Zig's very low. Darshan close to being taken down here. MikeYeung going underneath the turret.
He might be dead.
Oh, nope. Takes 2 shots. He's out of there.
Yeah. Didn't have flash, and that might be 2. He's got to just...
OmarGod gets the flash at least.
Yeah. Got the flash there, so that's what you can get in that situation, if not a kill. And now we're looking at a lot of flashes down across the board. Every single one except for, you know, there's one coming up soon for Aphromoo. But I feel like as a jungler, you just go anywhere, you're going to have a good time.
Huhi really taking a bad trade there against Ryu, who's almost out of mana, which could have been what prompted Huhi to go for the trade to begin with.
Yeah, Huhi just has better trading stats right now, and Aphromoo...
Oh!
Yep. A lot of damage coming through.
Arrow hasn't even shopped yet either, by the way. Those are going to hurt a lot more once he comes back.
Yeah, he's got 2,200 gold. And Darshan checks, I believe Zig uses the, Zig uses the stun there before MikeYeung is actually in range or ready to follow up. So goes for the W, commits to it. Interesting that he kept going. That was actually quite interesting because you saw him transform back, throw a spear point blank, and then he could have backed up and gone for kind of the javelin toss on the backside of the turret. They're looking for a empowered stun. Oh, he tried to hit him into the turret. They're looking for an empowered stun into a spear. There it is.
All right, Darshan taken low. It'll be Zig going under the turret first. Darshan, nice little fancy feat there, trapping Zig under the turret for an extra shot, but Phoenix1's duo of top lane and jungle not finding themselves the kill yet. MikeYeung may look for another cheeky spear, see if he can set up the kill potential here. Zig has a full Fury bar.
Waiting for another W.
Cast comes down, Darshan putting the damage down. Zig in some trouble here, dashing away, trying to slice and dice his way out. Darshan gets 1. Can he get 2? Darshan, the outplay master, as Stixxay, he's going to be outplayed by a few spears in the back. Arrow on a killing spree bot side.
Yeah, Darshan there, the body slam coming up big, but also making sure that he keeps them there as long as possible. And now they're going to trade back and forth.
Huhi versus Ryu, culling coming out. OmarGod might want to go for some more setup here. There's your cocoon, there's your burst, there's your ignite. Repel into the air, the last auto attack to almost get him. OmarGod grabs it, but he trades the kill.
We're just seeing trades back and forth. Bloody game. Let's go, Flowers.
This is what we want, Zirene. Some action in game number 2.
Oh, and this is what P1 fans want as well after that big, kind of disappointing game in terms of kind of outmaneuvered over the map. The execution was off, and right here, Darshan plays on the backside, clears some of the minions. Then, right here, making sure that he actually got to the other side of that turret, and the Renekton really kind of couldn't get anything there. And now Arrow just actually, he got the reset there as he threw the spear. So what he did is he killed the minion, and he got the slow off of the Q, off of the first Ren, and that's what allowed him to Stixxay. That was actually quite a good display there from the Kalista.
Stixxay thought he would be safe enough, even without his support there, just stepping a little bit away from the turret, but that little bit is
that's all you
not going to work when you're up against a Kalista that's this far ahead.
And we're
75 to 52 farm.
Exactly, it's 7 to 5. We're seeing level advantage here, and MikeYeung going to come bottom. That means you have, he already flashed. Stixxay flashed. They're going to try to get him.
Aphromoo and Stixxay trying to get away from this one. OmarGod coming down. It's still going to be a 4 versus 3. Stixxay gone instantly. Aphromoo and Omar now having to escape, but OmarGod repels up into the air, nowhere to land, but from whence he came, has to flash out. Arrow now going a bit far forward. Huhi comes in to provide some peel for the escape, but it's still a 1-for-0 pickup for Phoenix1.
Yep, and that's going to be that turret taking some damage. No TPs from the top side, and Xpecial pretty close to level 6 here, so if he's able to hit that, and just 1/3 of way left, could be able to turn it around. But
blue buff number 2 going the way of Phoenix1.
Yeah. of course, remember, did get traded on the first one.
Right.
But they may be able to get their own here because they have so much map pressure. And yep, this is actually funny because Aphromoo is just like standing as if he has level 6, and he walks into the face that forces Arrow to flash over to get the Fate's Call and set up his teammate to throw himself in at a better position. But then Omar, they get his flash, and they push him back. And now Omar, on this Elise, was trying to match the pressure of MikeYeung, but MikeYeung got early advantage. And right here, I was kind of scratching my head at this because it's a catalyst for Darshan early, right? You think about what that builds into now. I don't think...
Abyssal Mask.
Abyssal Mask, but it's only him and OmarGod who would make use of the magic damage when he has 2 physical damage dealers, right? It builds into Rod of Ages, which I don't think he would go for, but maybe with the Doran's Rings nerf, where you can't stack them anymore, that's how you get pressure back on Gragas. GLP, I don't think so either. And remember, it does not build into Righteous Glory anymore.
Maybe we're going to see the Season 1 throwback, the full AP Gragas with the Lich Bane, the Xpecial style.
I mean, I would be down.
Oh, all the old broken times of the past from crazy builds and strange things in League of Legends. But now, we're having to see if CLG can maintain a sort of presence against Phoenix1 with the lead that they've got after grabbing that first turret blood and this big kill lead early.
Yeah, first turret goes down bottom. OmarGod and Stixxay, as well as Aphromoo, all on the top side trying to return turrets, but they're actually going to lose damage on the bottom side, and it's MikeYeung soloing the Infernal Drake. So they're actually losing tempo across the map here because P1 are actually allocating kind of the lowest amount of resources you can to each thing and securing it. So they aren't overkilling any objectives here. MikeYeung getting this Infernal Drake is exactly what they should do because they don't need him on the bottom side just yet.
P1 now he's getting so much and playing this game so well so far. 2,000 gold up, 4 kills up, turrets are even, and they got that Infernal Drake. Drake RNG being very kind to them this game, giving them that huge payoff, especially when you've got Corki and Nidalee and Renekton and Kalista. These champions all going to get so much out of that.
Speaking of getting a lot out of something, checking back in on the support items.
Okay.
The Targon's Brace, which was just upgraded for Xpecial, 458 gold. And then the completed Eye of the Oasis is actually only 408 gold for Aphromoo. So this actually, because they were getting so punished in lane, he couldn't contest cannon minions or pick up any of that farm because of what happened early. And remember, Aphromoo died level 1. He can't walk up on the Braum without flash because he also blew that. So if he gets hit by a Q because of that, he actually is starved for gold and is pretty far behind what you normally would have at this point as a Janna with that coin.
And when you compare the 80 carries, they're in a similar spot.
Yeah.
I mean, over 2,000 gold lead for Arrow over Stixxay. It's not even close between these two. The Jhin has no chance of fighting against that Kalista whatsoever. MikeYeung clearing out some wards, throwing some spears to force Aphromoo away. 3-1 and 2 on the Nidalee, with a big advantage over his own counterpart, as P1 now rotates their bottom laners up towards the top side to continue trying to build these advantages.
And you get Rift Herald too. So I feel like the Rift Herald is how you break mid turret, and that top turret is what you get kind of over time with this lead. And we saw it earlier where MikeYeung is actually, so far, even counting Europe, this split, he's 7-1 on Nidalee. He's 87.5% win rate and a 7.8 KDA on that champion.
That's disgusting. He's so good at that champion.
Yeah, and this game is only going to increase that. He's looking right now at a 5 KDA. Although, no, not incredible compared to what he's known for.
Oh, yeah, only a 5 KDA.
I know, but
I get that in my sleep, Zirene. I don't know what you're talking about.
In your dreams, I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the pressure that he's been able to exert because the level 1 counter from Phoenix1 are showing that, they actually are not going to take the strategies of Counter Logic Gaming lying down.
Rift Herald being picked up by Phoenix1. MikeYeung and Ryu doing plenty of damage to take this one down, but with Xpecial and Arrow coming over, it'll make sure that there's no attempts from CLG to try to steal this one away, stop it, start any fights, or honestly do anything. Securing that, putting it onto MikeYeung means that with his mobility around the map, he can get that down in whichever lane they choose. Like you said, most likely going to be mid lane. That is where you see that drop down most of the time these days to secure that turret that is more highly contested than the other.
Exactly. It's the hardest one to take, and it's the shortest distance between a Tier 1 and Tier 2, so you're more likely to get a Rift Herald second charge off.
24,000 to 21,000 gold. Looking good for Phoenix1. They currently have twice as many kills as they had last game.
It's a great way to put it. Some perspective of how far behind they were. And Counter Logic Gaming now have as many kills as Phoenix1 did in the previous game. So Phoenix1 want to get them back, they have to get 13 kills and not die.
Now, the thing I want to keep my eye on, Zirene, is how Phoenix1 will transition this as we move to the mid-game. A lot of times people consider the difference of early and mid-game to be around that 15-minute mark. So as Phoenix1 transitions into this state where laning's no longer a thing, more team play, macro elements, rotations start coming into the picture, can they continue building this lead, or will they fall behind CLG? They need to be able to not just have the early advantages, but translate them as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult for them to do it because of Aphromoo. The fact that he has the Janna and he has the ultimate, they'll be kind of trying to split push as much as possible. It still charges through that. So.
Yep. Shelly managed to get off one big strong hit, but I don't think she's sticking around too long. All right, bye, Shelly.
Yeah, unlucky. But yeah, that's going to be top lane Ryu just putting some damage on this turret, potentially going after it with that Sheen. Very close to death there. And Stixxay is going to answer. But now Stixxay in a 45, 48 CS deficit now. And Arrow and Xpecial are going to wail on this mid turret and pick it up. And now Phoenix1, like you said, the transition. They can't kind of just blindly force like they were before.
No.
Because the Janna has ultimate. But Phoenix1 are in a good position because they have engage tools, they have poke tools, they have siege tools, and I feel like the only thing that they're kind of lacking against this composition is somebody who would stack a lot of armor because it's mostly physical damage here from CLG and you can shut them down that way. But they will have the Renekton eventually build a Gargoyle Stone Plate, and they also have the Braum, which against these ranged champions, I feel like Xpecial has an opportunity now to get himself a player of the game, right? He's like, he blocked, he started the very first fight off by tagging Aphromoo. He's been very crucial with the concussive blows, like you said. And if they transition into that mid game, he's going to be a big part of how they do that.
Darshan finding Zig down here, and talking about the armor stacking, I'm normally one of the people that is very quick to criticize teams that don't take advantage of the ability to stack one resistance, but Zig,
okay, currently he's got an ulti to actually get some damage back.
Fight back here against Darshan, who
Darshan
still winning the 1v1.
He's got ulti still.
Explosive cast, knocking him away.
Body slam flash.
Oh, deadly flourish. Arrow with the heal, and now Darshan caught out, taken down. The bait from the alligator.
Yeah, the flash away from Darshan. Kalista spears will follow you, but if you go, like just like all other auto attacks, but if you go into Fog of War, she actually hits the ground instead. So if you pick a different flash angle, you'll actually just see the spear get planted in the ground. It's actually a mechanic that Kalista has where she can't cancel her auto attacks, right? Because it starts her Martial Poise, but her Martial Poise passive also says if they duck into Fog of War, then you actually drop the spear.
Well, she's not dropping the spears that she's piling into this Mountain Drake. Another good Drake spawn for Phoenix1. They'll get this one no contest, just like they did the first. No Rend. He's just saying, no, Mike, you do this.
WTF, wasting time, no Rend?
No Rend. Report. 80 carry. What? Autofill.
But they're doing quite well now. They're up 5,000 gold. They have both Drakes, the Mountain, which will help them close the game out, and the Infernal. And Counterlogic Gaming, we were talking about consistency. They're trying to find it. They found it against all those bottom teams, but this is the bottom team. They are 10th right now. They don't feel like a 10th place team when you watch the games, but the CLG made it look like they were 10th place last game, and now they're just trying to get them back right there. Ooh, if it's just a little different, if it's any other angle and you can get an auto off on him, it's different. And Darshan chases, and that goes all the way, and that means that Arrow doesn't even have to blow his own flash, and Darshan's engage power is now down for the next 5 minutes.
Darshan with that Iceborne Gauntlet up and running, so we don't get to see what his catalyst becomes just yet.
I think it's just a catalyst. He just got it for HP.
That's just all it is.
Healing, for the mana. I feel like he's going to be on that catalyst for a very long time.
Honestly, the difference in itemization right now between the two mid laners is so huge too, just because of the spikes that are being hit. They're only 1,000 gold apart, but Sorcerer Shoe's Trinity Force is a very strong Corki.
He's got a flash. There's no body slam flash.
Oh, Darshan not quite getting the slow. Huhi putting down the Bilgewater Cutlass. Darshan's got to be careful that he might just drop here. You don't want to make this a 1-for-1, but they will anyway. Ryu's got the move.
Yep, Ryu gets something back. He actually gets the flash out of Huhi as well, but blows his own summoner spells to return a kill. And this Lucian's just looking at item parts, right? Huhi is actually not that powerful right now compared to the power spikes that Ryu has.
Yeah, Huhi is not strong really at all. Bilgewater Cutlass, Hex Drinker, I mean, those seem like solid half items on their own. But when you compare it to a Trinity Force and a Sorcerer's Shoe and the pieces of that Zeal evolution, most likely Static Shiv, Rapid Fire Cannon, those sorts of things, it's really not a comparison. Ryu's going to be bringing a lot of damage should a full-on 5 versus 5 team fight break out, and Huhi will struggle to keep up with that.
He's pretty close to actually having the Blade of the Ruined King here. And Darshan, it looks like because he already stacked up some armor and he has the Ninja Tabis and the Iceborne Gauntlet, it's possibly Abyssal Mask like you had said with the Catalyst and also a Null Magic Mantle now, but you really want Spirit Visage for the healing. And this right now is just, it's kind of gonna help him a bit against Ryu, but it's still not enough. The magic damage from the Corki, the fact it's not stacked up completely yet from Darshan means he gets to turn it. And Ryu played that and had the kind of decision-making in the moment and when to turn right on point.
Yeah, that was really well done by Ryu. You can't ask for much more from that one, being able to find that 1-for-1 and a 1v2 as Stixxay loses almost half his HP from the single spear out of Mike. Herald Ryu looking to start the fight off. Xpecial thrown in. Deadly Flourish out. Darshan going to be the one who goes down first. The damage comes through, and Arrow is unstoppable this game.
That was like Rakan levels of engage there. Xpecial, that was the synergy. He's like, we're going. Throw me in, boss. Goes in, flash, gets the ultimate off on multiple people, and then he's able to pick it up. And they're going to start Pirean now. They have the Kalista to rend.
Fearless play from Phoenix1, and Baron is dropping fast.
Omar has
Zirene
a chance.
already down to 1/3 HP. Omar going up and over. Repel comes down, but it's still going to be secured by Arrow. And they also get the freebie kill onto OmarGod as lots of damage from those rockets out of Ryu means CLG has to retreat.
Aphromoo, good disengage there with the Q. Xpecial though, looking for Stixxay. Might get a flash here.
Nope. Bite. Nope. Stixxay fast enough to walk away behind the minions. Last game, Zirene, when the curtains were closing on Phoenix1, we talked about it's not just the win for CLG, it's more so how you win. You've got to look convincing. As a team contending for first place, you should be stomping the 10th place team. But in this second game, you would think that Phoenix1 is the first place team and CLG's sitting at the bottom.
Yeah, and this is one of those games where it's hard to kind of pull a lot of information from it. I think the last one was as well, because level 1 screw up so much in professional play where people get a lot off of it, and then you start having pretty disgustingly ahead fights like this where Arrow is able to just be a frontliner, dance around Darshan, and able to pick it up. But Xpecial there with the engage, paired with Arrow, came out on top and got them that Baron. We're looking at a 10,000 gold lead now for P1.
21 minute, 10,000 gold lead. This is just as strong of a lead as CLG had against Phoenix1 in game number 1. But now it's P1 who's got the 5-0 AD carry. The 3-1-3 jungler with the Rod of Ages and the Runic Echoes that's just destroying health bars with these spears. Nobody on CLG is tanky enough to deal with this either.
Yeah.
The only person remotely tanky is the Gragas.
Yeah, and he's getting shred still. And then QSS for Arrow to make sure that he can't really get caught by too much if he plays it correctly. And now, like I said, the level 1s screw up so much. So many flashes were burned early. You also saw a kill go over, and that's why a lot of teams just don't do the level 1s, because that's what happens. People say, okay, are we forfeiting this one? Do over? Because a lot of teams know how to close games once they get to that point.
Right.
Phoenix1 have struggled a little bit with that, but the level 1 really just kind of has a snowball cascading effect where the flashes that were blown, the kills that went over to MikeYeung, went and just did a standard jungle route to the bottom side, and then they came up big, and now they're trying to get something back. Roots onto Ryu.
P1 going for this fight. Tier 3 falls. Ryu going to be taken low. Aphromoo having to sidestep some of the Glacial Fissure. Arrow continuing to go forward, jumping onto Darshan. Not afraid of the fact that he's the lone tank. Zig soaking the damage on the front line for P1 now as Ryu gets back. The rest of Phoenix1 going to be falling back in retreat as well. Curtain call opens up. Xpecial soaking those hits. Not really afraid of them at all. Last one barely hitting him for 200 damage.
And now, Cloud Drake coming up in 4 seconds. They rotate towards that.
Drake Rainbow.
Yep.
All they need is an Ocean one, but sadly the game's not programmed to let you do that. So Phoenix1 will just have to settle with 3 different Elemental Drakes in their quest for victory over CLG.
Baby 4. Go for a Mountain Drake, which will come up next. But P1 really want to keep that pressure on, right? They want to be able to not let the Gragas kind of scale up. Darshan is actually the entire game, despite what's been going on, been a little bit ahead of Zig in terms of pressure. Darshan was able to kind of almost win the 1v1 versus the Renekton. He's been up in CS. He's been up in levels slightly as well. And it's just barely Zig kind of edging him out in gold via turret and Baron gold.
I mean, he did win the 1 versus 1 against Zig in the bottom lane. Arrow was the one who came in and managed to keep Zig safe in just the nick of time.
Yeah, I remember Darshan got a kill top when he was dove, and then he got another one as well.
And I like making those arguments because as soon as somebody's like, yeah, Darshan, he won the 1v1, it's all working out for him, but it's a team game.
Yeah.
And Zig has been working together with his team to make these things happen.
Yeah, back in on this game, so they were saying to Lorem, you know, he got the stage time. But, oh my god.
Oh
my
Stixxay
god.
almost getting hit by that winner's bite there at the end. Teammates moving into the way to save him from that one. P1 wants to put the final nails in this coffin, take this one to game 3 and be done with it. CLG has to find some sort of miracle hold here. CLG with a deficit at 25, 5-12 this summer.
Yeah, but look at P1, 10-8 when they have leads at 25. They've had 10K gold leads at 25 minutes. Like, that's late game, and they've had it against Echo Fox, and they lost twice.
Right. This is a team that does have difficulty closing games more often than not. When you only have barely above a 50% win rate when you have a lead, it's concerning. But they're in such a strong position right now, and they seem to be playing clean enough that they should have the momentum and the resources to end this one in time. Spiders coming out, control ward thrown down, Darshan gonna be dove on, Zig trying to go for more here, but Darshan doing everything he can to keep this one defended. 2v1. Barrels and Iceborns and everything thrown out there as Ryu takes a couple of turret shots. Darshan still going in onto him. I don't know what is happening right now, but Darshan may just be able to find something here. Curtain call opens up. Zig having a dash away. Pop the ulti as well.
Here comes
Darshan
Arrow.
and Aphro getting themselves out. Arrow is the guy you got to look out for. He's the one who can change this game. Janna ulti used, Darshan still on the bloodline. The health bars disappears, Irene. And CLG is going to be hunted down by the remaining members of everybody on P1. Nobody's fallen yet. Huhi being torn to pieces by MikeYeung. Stixxay falls to Arrow. Godlike on the Kalista. Xpecial drops. Ryu drops. OmarGod goes golden, but it's not going to do a whole lot of anything. GG for P1. They take this to game 3.
And they take it faster than CLG did. So far, we've had less than an hour of game time in 2 games. We're going to game 3.
What a crazy series between these two teams. Again, so unexpected when you consider that one is fighting to claw out of 10th and one is fighting to claw into 1st. But Phoenix1 will not just accept CLG winning this in a 2-0, especially not after that first game where things look so one-sided. P1 bounces back.
P1 put back in Ryu and Zig. It makes all the difference, but the level 1, I cannot stress that enough. The level 1 is so important in League of Legends when you're at the pro level, because if you blow a flash, you're getting revisited. The Janna had so little gold from her ancient coin because he blew his flash. When he went back in the jungle, he's level 1, gets killed again, gets killed very early on. They dive another time. And so Aphromoo is playing very far back. He can't even kind of salvage this lane. And the whole map is just collapsing because of this pressure and the kills that MikeYeung was able to pick up. And Arrow ends the game 7-0-6. Finally, one of those MVP-looking performances from him. But I have to say, Xpecial is the guy who really stood out this game with the tag early, with the pairing up with Arrow, and also being quite aggressive, while also being defensive with the Braum.
And I want to bring up again what you were talking about with the level 1 and kind of how that creates this really chaotic situation for a lot of teams, because you also mentioned how CLG excels versus the bottom teams. It's only the top teams that have beat them in matches. Dignitas, not Cloud9, Dignitas, Immortals, and TSM, the 3 teams that have actually beat them in matches.
Yep.
But one reason that they're likely able to do that against most teams, CLG is, that is, because they do these level 1 plays. They take an advantage against their opponents who aren't good at reacting to it, who aren't good at responding to it, and you can just snowball the game from there. But when P1 responds and answers and says, "Get the hell out of my jungle," CLG then ends up on the back foot. They're not able to recover, and P1 has a crazy snowball win.
A lot of bottom teams are afraid to dictate the game and say, let's play reactively, because that's not how I know how to play. And they don't go for the aggressive play. They don't go for the one that's going to win you the game. They go for the one that's going to not lose you the game. So they're like, let's ward up our jungle. Let's make sure they just don't do this time. And then we'll get back to neutral, because that's how we know how to play. That's how we play every scrim. That's how we play these types of games. It's how you start level 1 in almost all your solo queue games. So that's what you know, but being able to say, let's go outside of our comfort zone and try this because you're in such a desperate spot, If they get 2-0, they're very close to being locked into having a promotion tournament spot on Phoenix1's side. So they don't have much to lose here. They have everything to gain to try and get their championship points back if they're able to take games off these top teams.
And being able to play aggressively like that and dictate the pace of the game, put them in a spot where they were able to do this in the last team fight. We have one more look at exactly how it all went down. It originally looked kind of bad for P1 here.
Yeah, and this is Darshan actually having a very good game. Even though he was camped, he's got a lot of deaths. The Gragas for him seems like a champion that he's able to deal some damage, gets Zig below half, gets Ryu below half and in kill range, and then blows the flash, and then this has them all come in from the side. OmarGod roots arrow to try and delay, blows the QSS so he can get there faster, and Aphromoo actually repositions away so he doesn't have the Monsoon on basically the disengage of the team, and then Xpecial gets thrown in, interrupts the Monsoon, hits Huhi with both his ultimate and concussive blows from the Winter's Bite, which allows MikeYeung to go after him and possibly pick him up here at the end, when he does, whereas the rest of the team just goes and dives. Xpecial and Ryu kind of like, oh my God's here, what's going on? And then he ends up getting picked up.
It just didn't work out. If you look at it, it could have been very different if CLG wasn't so far behind. But you have to consider everything Phoenix1 had done up until that point to put themselves in such a dominant position. And now you got to wonder which one of these two teams is showing up in game number 3, because both of these first two games have been such a wash.
Yeah, and in game 2, MikeYeung having an aggressive jungler like Nidalee, he had Lucian in the first one but got controlled by the whole team. They got it back, he got to a neutral point, and then he was able to continue being aggressive, and he was able to exploit a lot of what happened in that level 1. But for me, it's this mid lane pick as well for Huhi was just not convincing, because the Lucian got put behind early, right? He kind of bullied Ryu a bit after the level 1 because Ryu blew his flash, but he wasn't able to completely kind of just do what Lucian wants to do in matchups. So the blind pick of the Lucian kind of stands out to me as something that they said a little bit of a disrespect note towards P1 there, where it was like, we're just going to crush you guys early. We're going to do it again. Gets behind, has almost no say in the game.
Well, this series is going to game number 3. Meet us back here in a few minutes to see if CLG can end their weekend in first, or if Phoenix1 can fight to avoid the promotion tournament. Don't go anywhere.